When you meet a man, you judge him by his clothes. When you leave, you judge him by his heart. Russian proverb. Do you put effort into your appearance or are you lazy? Does your mummy or your partner shop for your clothes? Do you feel like you can do a better job in improving your style, but you don't know where to start? Do you even iron your shirt? Welcome to the Nice Guy Show. I'm your host, Faisal Khokhar, and I'm joined with Chuck and Ari. Now, when it comes to style and clothing, I remember just after my breakup, after my divorce, I was in Las Vegas with two friends of mine, and we're there in the Venetian Hotel, really excited. I unpacked my bag, and the other guys are unpacking their bag, and I'm like putting my clothes ready to put away in the wardrobe. I look across and I see my friends and their clothes. Then I quickly take a look at my one and thinking, I started to feel this feeling of not good enough, started to feel of inferior because their style was really sharp. They had really good clothes, they had really good style. And when I looked at mine looked like old man style. And I was in my mid 30s at that time, late 30s. And I felt really sad about this. So one day we were all going out and I asked my friend, I said, "Look, do you mind if I borrow your clothes?" He said, "Faisal, I'm a little bit unsure." He was a bit hesitant because he knew that I would go out, we got drinking, and there'll either be beer on his clothes. So he was a little bit hesitant because he spent a lot of money on a designer label. But finally, I twisted him round and I wore his clothes. And I felt like $1 million. I felt so good. I felt really confident. The night didn't go to plan, but I didn't care because I felt so good. There was something about stepping into really well fitted clothes, someone who had taken time to match the clothes. It just felt really amazing with this. And what it taught me was there's a lesson about the way you dress and it reflects something, what's going on. So, Chuck and Ari, when it comes to style, is your style more what your mom taught you or your wife taught you or your partner, or is it more from where it comes from you? Let's start with you, Chuck.
My style comes from me. Um, my style is very, what's the word? Simple, minimalistic. Like I pretty much wear fitted black t-shirts and jeans, and then I'll layer over that with either outerwear or something along those lines. But I I'm a little bit different in that I'm kind of developing a brand. And so my black t-shirts, not necessarily the brand, but they create a consistency. So when I'm shooting videos, I can shoot a video one day and then step into the video the next day and shoot it again. And for me, it's about consistency. So that's what my clothing has been more recently. In the past, I think I kind of go from, I'll spend a lot of money on clothes to going back to more kind of a simplified thing. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. The thing I focus on more than I think the outerwear and the shirts is the accessories for me, like the watches, the shoes. I think that those two things alone can dress up your outfit really quickly, so you can have a very simplified, wear a t-shirt and jeans and have a nice watch and nice shoes on, and you've upped the way you look dramatically just by those two things. So, and also I think, jewelry touches, rings or necklaces, things like that can also kind of up your look. But so that's where I come from. And about you, Ari?
I was listening to what you were saying about I'm developing a brand. Like, what a boss thing to say. Like, how do I follow that shit up? Um, I'm going to develop a brand too. I've decided. I
Okay.
decided that a few seconds ago. Um,
Awesome. Yep.
I went out with a woman a little while ago who described my style as prep adjacent.
Prep adjacent. What does that mean?
And
What is that?
what does that mean?
Yeah.
I guess it's preppy-ish, maybe with like a little hip hop flair. I can't believe I said that, but a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Is that like half-assed?
like half-assed preppy.
Yeah.
Is that, well, not like fully embracing preppiness. Like I don't have like I don't know what's the preppiest thing you can think of, like the sweater wrapped around
An
your neck.
Izod shirt, an
Yeah,
Izod polo.
yeah. I'm preppy-ish. Um, I like fitted clothes, tailored clothes. Um, so like that was something that I learned to appreciate from my ex. She was an influence on my style. She and her family really, like this is a little bit of a tangent, but like for my wedding, they had they had me and the people in the wedding party get tailored suits at a really nice place called Balani in Chicago. Never done something like this before. So I'm picking out the fabric, I'm picking out like a really cool lining inside, the cufflinks, getting, like monogrammed shirts, so just stuff I'd never done before. And I learned to appreciate from that experience.
How was
Um,
that making you? How was that making you feel? Because I was reading the notes about when you were writing this that there was some shame coming up.
well, I just, that was an experience that it was like such a leveling up, and it felt uncomfortable, like unnatural for me. I'd never experienced anything like that growing up, but that was part of her family's culture. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I don't think I was the same after that. Like I think I was learning to appreciate um, looking good and dressing well, and what that actually means. High quality clothes. And it was, I guess, me seeing myself in a different light, that I could, value myself more. I think that was one of the take homes. I don't think I really lived that out until probably after my divorce. Because I was still stuck in the nice guy. I don't know if this is a typical nice guy thing, but maybe it's a mama's boy thing. Just like
Did she?
having uh, my wife come shopping with me. It was like my mom taking me shopping, and I totally played into that. You know.
So did you not pay any attention to it? You thought, okay, whatever. I trust your judgment, and I'll leave it to you because I guess you're not paying any focusing on that.
I was starting to appreciate clothes more, but what I didn't do is trust myself and my own judgment about clothes. So I just didn't feel like I could take myself shopping by myself and get good clothes. I felt like, I needed her or her family's validation for whatever I picked out. So which is kind of um, encapsulates my marriage in a lot of ways. Like I needed validation for my decisions. So I really didn't break that pattern until after we split, and then I realized, oh, I can take myself shopping. I can start trying stuff out. I can take some risks, and
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
fun. Like it isn't a headache. This is actually fun. So
yeah. Because
those are some of the changes I made.
a lot of guys say, "Hey, this is not me. This is not my style," because they're so comfortable in what they've grown up with that when there is some insights into it, you can dress better, and usually the response I get is, "This is not me." Ever happened to you, Chuck? Have you had experience with a client or someone saying, "Well, that's not me," and you know that they need to really focus on improving their appearance?
Um, I think that what I tend to focus on more is how somebody feels and giving them the empowerment to be able to choose what they want to wear. Because I mean, it's subjective. You know, the title of our show today is, to dress like a man. What is a man dress like? Is that flannels? Is that, you know, outdoor wear, hunting wear? I mean, that would be something that a man would wear. Or is it three-piece suits? Or is it just a t-shirt and jeans? One of
Yeah.
the things I think that happens with nice guys is that because they're trying to seek approval, they will try to seek approval from the outward. So how I dress. So I think there's two types of nice guys. One nice guy is kind of like, I don't want anybody to see me. And so they dress down. And then the other kind of nice guy is, I want everybody's approval. I want everybody looking at me so that I
Mm.
feel, validated. And I think that it has to come from within you. So it's not, for me, it's not about the clothes. It's about the man in the clothes. And that if you have confidence, you can be wearing, a grocery bag and look stunning, I think. But I think to your point that a lot of nice guys dress down because they don't want people looking at them, or they don't want to have some kind of attention drawn to them. They want to just sort of fit in. Um, so uh, to answer your question, I really try to focus on not so much what a guy is wearing, but how he feels in his body, because I think that's the most important thing when it comes to that. I go back to, the nice guy rules. If you're an adult, if you're a man, you get to make your own decisions. So decide what works for you and go do that. Um, that's my take anyway. I don't know. What about you, Ari?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I saw people who spent a lot of time and money and energy on clothes as superficial and narcissistic, and that this is what I told myself, that I didn't want to lump myself in with them.
Mm-hmm.
That I was somehow um, a better person. But I think I wasn't really paying attention to myself and valuing myself. It's interesting because I think there were ways that I have valued myself, like working out and going to the gym. For me, for whatever reason, of paying attention to my body that way and my fitness felt easier than clothes. So I don't know if part of that is that I grew up uh, paying more attention to fitness, and maybe that was part of my family's culture a little bit more. Definitely, my family's culture. I don't think there's an attention to fashion or style.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just did not learn that growing up. So I was actually thinking as I was getting ready for this show, like, what is the responsibility of the father to teach their son or their children about style? Is it the father's job? Is it the mother's job? Is it both?
Do you think looking back at when it comes to our style, and a lot of my style was because I like Chuck's point is I'm playing it down. I don't want to pay any attention. Also, so there was something deeper going on for me, and when I see this with a lot of the guys is they're what I call the mindset fracture. They're not feeling good enough. And what happens is they're okay, well, I'm not feeling good enough in this area in my life. I'm not feeling good enough in this area. So why should I bother with the way I look? And again, you have the opposite side is when they're trying to compensate by looking too good. They're too focused on the appearance, but there's no balance. There's no moderation and temperance on this. And they're trying to compensate for it. And what I noticed is when I was not feeling worthy of myself, I wouldn't want to treat myself to, something of quality. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not worthy of that. I don't deserve that. Or if I did buy something, I'd be so protective over it. I don't want to use it. I don't want to wear it because it'll wear out. Something will happen to it. I don't want to get it wrong. And I remember having a friend, and he'd buy good stuff. It didn't have to be very expensive, but he'd buy good stuff. And he says, "Well, yeah, because I'm deserving of this. I work hard for it. So why shouldn't I, spend here?" And it goes back to that same podcast, that we did was are nice guys cheap as fuck, And one of when I was at a seminar, and one of the ladies, she rolled up a pair of knickers and threw it at the audience, and it was a great laugh, and we somebody caught it, and she was saying that, do you have really old worn out clothes in your wardrobe? And she says, look at the deeper meaning, the philosophical meaning, the behind the scenes meaning of why do you have all of these clothes? And at that point, I was thinking, well, yeah, I do have some clothes that are worn out. Some clothes I never touch, but I just cling onto them. So maybe you find yourself that you're clinging onto clothes or worn out clothes, and you don't want to let go of them. Ari.
Yes, historically, I've done that. There was I don't know. I was thinking about a T-shirt that I had for about 20 years. It was this is just sort of a random story, but it was it was after the Bulls won the championship in 1992, and I went to the rally, and I bought this bootleg T-shirt, Jordan for President, Michael Jordan for President. So I was quite proud of it. I mean, I got it as a teenager, but I had it literally for like 20 years until it was in shreds. And I think I didn't realize that maybe people were kind of making fun of me for wearing something that was um, falling apart. Um, so in terms of keeping something around that doesn't necessarily look good, I think that's an example of that. I think I kept it out of nostalgia, but I'm not necessarily
Yeah.
always paying attention to like the other meanings. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. I see a lot of nice guys when I go through. Like Chuck, you were saying that I believe appearance is important, but it's not the most important thing. I think obviously in the internal work is far more important to do. Also, the internal world and external worlds, they kind of reflect each other as well. What's happening in your inside world? If there's chaos, is there going to be chaos in your outside world as well? And especially when single guys, I think it's single guys and guys in relationships, it makes such a big difference when it comes to attraction, because when a guy doesn't make any effort, she's subconsciously thinking, well, is he going to not make an effort with me? Where else is he not going to make an effort? Where else is he not going to? And again, on especially guys who are single and you want to get more dates, if you're clothed, if you don't make any effort on that, you are not going to get any matches. It's very rare that if you don't make an effort on your clothes, that you're going to get any matches. Studies show that, Chuck, you asked the question between what's boy dressing, what's like a man dressing. One of the big distinction is that they take time and effort into dressing, as in they focus on that. They don't just pick up anything and just run off with it. And they look, that's what kids do. I've seen my kids, they'll just wear anything for the sake of wearing anything, and they'll have cartoons and dresses on it. Whereas a man, I believe, just takes leadership in that area too. So it's about taking leadership in that area, figuring out what he likes, what his style is. Research showed that high value clothing or high value clothing gave men better chance of having of mating opportunities than guys who were dressed sloppy. So guys with that would show higher status, like blazers, suits, gave them more of a chance. And also at the workplace or in any kind of business environment, it gave them a chance of seeing as more of an authority, because it's a natural reaction that we have. When someone's well dressed, we naturally give them power of authority. We naturally put them on a pedestal. It's a natural response that we have, an instinctual response. And I think that's what a big difference is, especially for single guys now want to get dating out there. It's so difficult matching. they need to dress well.
I'm realizing that with the Zoom revolution and the pandemic, like that has affected me too. I mean, prior to the pandemic, I had two offices, my private practice. I had a hospital job, so I was dressing up and wearing ties and nicer clothes all the time. And now, there aren't so many rules for seeing private clients on Zoom. Even just like thinking about what pants you're going to wear.
I don't wear pants.
Doesn't matter what pants you wear on Zoom.
Pants is
I'm
trousers,
not even
right?
wearing pants now. So
Yeah, like Faisal's wearing sweatpants right now, and you wouldn't even know it.
no.
Pants in the UK are like underwear.
Mm-hmm. You wear them on the
So when
outside.
like commando. Do you know when I used to play in poker tournaments, there was one guy, and he wasn't great with women, typical nice guy kind of guy, and he happened to get together with this girl, and they chatted, and I think they kind of dated a few weeks. And one day I said to this guy, I said, "Hey, how's it all going?" And he says, "No, she we ended it. She ended it." I said, "Okay, what happened?" And he didn't really say anything. And one of his close friends found out, and he said, "Well, they got quite intimate. They got quite close. Uh, you know, he was undressing himself, and he had Superman boxer shorts on." And she said, "No way." That was for her. It's like, I'm not gonna get intimate with a guy who wears Superman pants, and that was it. She just laughed, and it just killed the whole romance, and that was it. That was her deal breaker for her.
Do,
One
do
of
you
the
have a
things that I've
deal
noticed,
breaker? Oh, sorry.
I
Go
was just
ahead,
gonna say,
Chuck.
one of the things I've noticed is like if you go to a department store, though, the size of the women's area for clothing versus the size of the area for the men's clothing is completely disproportionate. I mean, you can go to a department store and there's, rows and rows and rows of women's clothing. I go into the guys section and there's like 3 rows. There's your basic button-up shirts, your t-shirts, your polo shirts, pants and shorts, and then outside of that, there's just not a lot of variety. And I think that also probably contributes to, at least it does to me. I mean, I walk into some place and I look at the clothes and I'm like, why do I want to buy new clothes when basically everything on the rack is exactly what I have at home or
Yeah,
pretty similar?
yeah. A lot of guys approach style like they approach seduction, and they approach the style in the same way as very logical. And this is why a lot of guys struggle when it comes to seduction, is because they're thinking in a very logical term. They're forgetting the whole process of what it represents, what it means, the finer lines. So when guys are thinking, well, it's just practical, I just need to get X, Y, and Z, there's a whole representation of the way you show up in the world. There's more flavor, and that's the thing. When it comes to seduction, most guys' seduction is very flavorless, which is sometimes and can happen with their style. And I like what you said about Chuck, that you just wear a black shirt, black jeans or something. My style has gone very much towards that. It's very simple now, and I just add a blazer, a good watch, and good shoes. And again, what it is that it's thought about. It doesn't have to be really fancy, but what it has to be is someone who takes care of themselves. Iron their shirt, make sure that their shoes are clean, make sure that their clothes are fitted. And one of the tips I wanted to give about this, and I love some of the tips that you have when it comes to style and fashion as well, is just keep it simple. Don't need to, like, for example, one of the worst things I've seen guys do is they wear like really graphical shirts. There's a
The
picture of me.
peacocking shirts.
Well, it's more about like there's Mr. Happy on there. I saw one guy, or I had trousers on when I was young, and when my mum used to dress me. There's a picture on my Instagram. There's a guy I put, when you dress versus when your mum dresses. I've got jeans with Fred Flintstone on, like a massive Fred Flintstone on my jeans. Right. This is the kind of stuff that women will judge you on. It's like, who dresses you? So when guys go out with t-shirts with like characters on, cartoons on there, or Star Wars and things like that, yeah, okay, I get that. But when it comes to your pulling power, it just reduces your pulling power. Of course, your confidence is going to outshine that. But what I'm saying is, the first step is attention, then comes attraction, then comes connection. If you fail at the attention part, not grabbing the right attention, it can be very difficult to build the next part, which is attraction as well. So guys, what are your fashion style or tips that you give guys or give yourself? Let's start with you, Chuck.
Again, I don't give tips on fashion. This is not the thing that I focus on. So, but I think the opposite of that is I've had clients who, are wearing shoes that have holes in them or something like that. And, that they're wearing things that are clearly just, and I will say something about that, because I think that does reflect how, you show up in the world. And, one of the questions, and I wrote about this in the 30-day journal, is, a guy comes in and he's got holes in his shoes. And I say, would you ever let your wife walk around with holes in her shoes? And he's like, well, no way. And I said, well, then why would you allow that for yourself? So I think a reference point is, if you wouldn't let your woman dress like that, why would you dress like that? Or if you wouldn't allow, somebody that you cared about to dress like that, why would you allow yourself to dress like that? Again, my tips are I think the accessories, the minimalistic accessories, a nice watch, nice shoes, a well-fitted shirt, jeans, and you can't go wrong with that. And then, like you said, you can layer that with a sports coat. You can layer it with, a pea coat or, scarf or something like that. And you can just really kind of up your look on that way. And I got to say, I kind of like a graphic t-shirt once in a while. I'll wear a graphic t-shirt with a sports coat. And it looks pretty cool, I think. Maybe people are laughing at me, but,
It's okay. You're not on dating profiles.
That's true.
Ari, what about you? Yeah, as long as you think you're cool, that's most important, right? Ari, what about you? What's your tip?
I don't know if I have specific style tips. I think fitted is critical. You can't look frumpy. So I'll comment on that, and if someone's showing me their dating app profile, yeah. So don't be classic, but also add accessories, jewelry, a hat. You got to have nice shoes. I think that was something that I had to learn to do, was like nice shoes. I mean, you don't have to spend $1,000, but probably a couple hundred to get a nice pair of shoes, and it makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice ties. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a saying: better wear your bad clothes than your bad shoes, because the first thing people look at is just look at your shoes as well. I remember years ago when I was quite young, I was going into a nightclub with my friend, and the woman at the entrance looked at me up and down, and she was hesitated. And I said, why can't we come in? And she just looked at my shoes, and she just pointed at them. And to me, I thought, well, what's wrong with that? She said, they're worn out. And I asked my friend, I said, are they really worn out? Because to me, it didn't even register they were worn out. I was like, I was just so accustomed to them. And he said, yeah, they're a bit worn out. So it took somebody else to point it out for me to sort of realize, okay, I really need to pay more attention here. And what I realized was I need to pay a lot more attention, because there was a matchmaker I was talking to, and she said the couple went on a date, and he had like a hole in his jumper sweater, and she just couldn't let that go. It was bugging her all night, And that was one of the reasons why she said, look, I don't want to date him anymore. I believe there's much more reasons for just holding his jumper. But she just kept pointing out, she goes, it was just holding his jumper. I just couldn't let that go because he was sloppy. He didn't make an effort for me to show up. I made a lot of effort for the date and he couldn't even get a jumper without holding it. So to her, it was really a big deal. So, guys, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. One of the things I take away from that is, definitely very fitted clothes. Here's one of my big tips to all guys is regarding fitted clothes. Make sure that sometimes, we all fluctuate and we put on weight. Don't start to wear bigger clothes to accommodate that. Let that pain go. Don't change your clothes sizes just because you're getting more weight. It's a great reference point to say I need to work on myself more. And that's one of the things I did was when I started to put on weight, I never changed my sizes because I know that if I change my size, I'll then get into the next comfort zone. So keep the size always to what you desire it to be. Gentlemen, this has been the Nice Guy Show, and I was joined with Chuck and Ari. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also check out other shows that we have. And also, you can check out niceguyshow.com if you want to reach out to any of us. Stay tuned for the next one. Take care.
You've been listening to The Nice Guy Show, the podcast that helps nice guys move past their insecurities and fears into the fullness of their masculine strength and confidence. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast and check out the website niceguyshow.com for more information on how to connect with Chuck and Faisal. Until next time, keep living your best life.